Today's class is about a verb to describe a subject. We will start to study about the definition of a verb. The first definition of a verb is to describe an experience of a subject. The experience is complete at the point in time when a speaker declares that the experience that is gone through by the subject more than once for a period. The experience indicates several things that a subject more than once for a period. The completion of the experience is determined with the point in time that the speaker declares that the experience is expired. For example, I have greeted you. The object which is had by the speaker. The completion of the experience at the present does not exist because the verb have is intransitive. There is a verb have. The intransitive verb have is applied in a clause that the speaker declares on experience is expired, is complete. The definition of the intransitive verb is not conveyed to an object that is visible, that can be sensed. This clause is about the experience of the speaker who has a period of time. The period of time is the premise that the speaker exists. Because the speaker exists at a point in time and a place, this clause can be stated. So, the object of the intransitive verb have is not stated, but we have to be aware that the speaker spent a period of time until present. The adverb greeted describes the period of time. The speaker spent a period of time, and the adverb greeted describes how the period. We can summarize that the experience is how we react to the period of time. The past participle greeted the experience of a subject is a way to respond to the period of time. The subject this clause is about an action of greeting that happened or happens in a period of time more than once. The second definition of a verb is to describe a condition of a subject. A condition of a subject is a description about the surrounding of the subject on the premise that the subject exists in a point in time and a place. To be surrounded in an environment, the subject should exist of the subject starts from the inner state The range of the condition starts from the description about the subject because the surrounding of the subject starts from the existence of the subject. The subject exists at a point in time and in a place. Then the surrounding started to be with the subject. The existence of the subject is the primary condition of any condition. From the existence of the subject, the range of the condition reaches out to the description about how the subject is, what the subject is. In a case that the subject is a person, who the subject is. The simplest clause to describe the condition of the subject is stated in the first exemplary clause. I am. This clause describes that the speaker exists in a point in time and a place. This clause is about the speaker himself as a subject of the existence. The information about the fact that the subject exists in the point in time and the place is not stated by a word or a phrase, but is necessary for the speaker to proceed with the further statement. The second exemplary clause describes who the subject is with the subjective complement of student. This clause describes who the speaker is with the phrase of a noun of student, on the premise that the speaker exists in the point in time and the place. After the speaker and the listeners are aware that the speaker as a subject exists, the speaker describes the condition of the speaker. The speaker not only exists but also is in a condition indicated by the phrase of the noun of student. The third exemplary clause is about how the subject is with the description by the subjective complement happy. This clause describes how the speaker is on the premise that the speaker exists in a point in time and a place. The condition of the speaker starts from the spirit, inner state, and reaches out to the surrounding environment of the speaker. So, the adjective happy describes the condition of the speaker with the description about the spirit. The adjective happy describes the subject of the clause. The subject is the speaker. And the adjective happy as a subjective complement describes the spirit, the inner state of the speaker. The first exemplary clause is about the condition of the listeners. With the first, second, and third exemplary clauses, we describe the condition of the subject with the be verb. In this first exemplary clause, the verb, the intransitive verb, lu, describes the condition of the subject, the listeners. This clause describes the condition of the listeners with the adjective good, on the premise that the listeners exist because the fact that the personal pronoun you indicates the listeners means that the listeners exist. Compared to the be verb, to describe the existence of the subject. This clause describes the condition of the listeners without the primary premise that the listeners exist. The reason why the clause does not describe the existence of the listeners is that to indicate the listeners with the personal pronoun you means the listeners exist already. Because the listeners exist, the listeners can be indicated by the personal pronoun you. With the first, second, third, and fourth exemplary clauses, we can understand the statement is on the premise that the subject exists in a point in time and a place. The premise is abbreviated many times, but the listeners, we have to be aware that the clause is on the premise. The third definition of a verb is about an action of a subject. An action of a subject is a visible movement of the subject. There is an exemplary clause with the transitive verb drink. I drink a cup of water. This clause describes the action of the speaker on the premise that the speaker exists in a point in time and a place. We can figure out that the definition of the verb, of the transitive verb drink, is conveyed to an object indicated by the phrase of a noun, a cup of water. With the transition of the definition of the transitive verb to the object, the intention of the speaker in this clause is fully conveyed. With the transitivity of the verb drink, the object indicated by the phrase of a noun, a cup of water, get the definition of the transitive verb drink and finish the interaction with the subject, the speaker, the subject, the speaker, and the object indicated by the phrase of a noun, a cup of water, come back to the initial state. The initial state is without the interaction between the subject and the object. The definitions to describe a subject describe every phase of a subject. The serial by verbs from an experience, a condition, an action. The subject arrives at a new initial state, at a state who is about to start a new experience. So we can think that the series of an experience, a condition, and an action forms a viewpoint of a subject that is applied in a new experience. The circulative description by the verbs. The verbs describe various phases that a subject encounters and passes through in the circulative structure that is continued after the cycle of on experience, on condition, on action, which becomes the past experience to form a viewpoint, to influence a new experience.